So that's what I wrote. That's what I lean towards that thought. All right. Shemot chapter 31, okay? Let's go there. Exodus chapter 31, we're going to read 12 through 18. We're going to talk about the Sabbath real quick. Let's go to verse 12, please. And let me know when everybody get there. All right, let's go. Yaakov.
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak also to the children of Israel, saying, Surely my Shabbats you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations.
That is a sign between Yahuwah and Israel. What does it mean by a sign? Well,
Mark.
If you want to know who Yahuwah's people is, let's see who's keeping Shabbat. It's like a sign. It's like somebody holding up a sign saying, this is Israel. Like, the Shabbat is a sign of the covenant. Let's keep going.
That you may know that I am Yahuwah who sanctifies you. You shall keep the Shabbat, therefore, for it is holy to you. Everyone who profanes it shall surely be put to death. For whoever does any work on it, that person shall be cut off from among his people. Work shall be done for 6 days, but the seventh is the Shabbat of rest, holy to Yahuwah. Whoever does any work on the Shabbat day, he shall surely be put to death.
See how serious the Shabbat thing is, y'all?
Therefore, the children of Israel shall keep the Shabbat to
Hold on. Let's stop right there. I think y'all should memorize this part. Let's see if y'all memorize it. Therefore, the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath and observe the Sabbath throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he ceased from work and was refreshed. Hallelujah. So that's what that's the Shabbat reading we do every Shabbat. So y'all got it down though. Y'all got it. Y'all got it down. So basically, this is showing the importance of the Shabbat. And I submit the Most High placed this in this part of the Torah it was very intentional. It was right after he made all the commandments of the things you're supposed to build on the tabernacle. And I believe what he's saying is that, okay, I know y'all are excited about building this tabernacle so that I can dwell with y'all. But you know what? On the Shabbat, I need y'all to still rest. Don't be working on the Shabbat. You get cut off for that. You get put to death for that. So the people I believe the people in Israel were very excited about building the tabernacle to where the temptation would be to continue to work even on the Shabbat. See what I'm saying? And that's why this was put here, I believe. But let's look at the Shabbat, y'all. Let's look at the Shabbat. It's a very big deal. It's the sign of the covenant. All right, Shemot 16. This is probably the first mention of at least the English word Shabbat. Shabbat is actually first mentioned in creation. But the word Shabbat, the English word Sabbath is first mentioned in Shemot 16. Then he said to them, this is what Yahuwah has said. Tomorrow is a Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to Yahuwah. Bake what you will bake today, and boil what you will boil. And lay up for yourselves all that remains to be kept until Boker. So what this is showing is this is the Manna commandment. So if y'all are familiar with the Manna commandment, this is when the manna was raining in the wilderness. That you were to gather 6 days. But on the seventh day, you were not allowed to gather. You had to trust Yahuwah, that he was going to provide. That was the principle of the Sabbath, like the first real mention of the Sabbath as far as people keeping it. It was about you gathering 6 days and trusting Yahuwah that he will provide you for you. He gave them a double portion on the 6th day. And so that you should be able to use that through the 7th day. That's the principle of Shabbat. I submit that's the principle of Shabbat today too. It's about trusting Yahuwah. It's a test too. It's a test. He put that out there to test Israel. I think it's Deuteronomy 8 where he said that. He brought people into Israel to test them. And so, keeping all that in mind, the idea of the Sabbath is to work and to have faith that Yahuwah got you if you rest on the 7th day. Now, many of us already got that part down. There's a lot of other things that happens on the Sabbath. All the best sales be on the Sabbath, don't it? Don't worry about that. The Most High, look, trust the Most High. Pay your little more and go on the Yom Rishon. Go on Sunday and pay a little more for that thing. You know what I'm saying? The best deals, the best sales, all the events be on Shabbat, don't it? That's okay. It's a test. Refrain from it. No, just refrain. And watch how the Most High shows you. When you trust him and follow him, he will give you a double portion. That's what he did to Israel when they trusted him on the Shabbat. He made sure they had a double portion to carry them over so that they had need. You see what they had nothing, no need. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. You see the same thing with the weekly Sabbath. With the yearly Sabbaths. This is Leviticus 25. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, then the land shall keep a Sabbath to Yahuwah." Verse 3. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather its fruit. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for the land, a Sabbath to Yahuwah. You shall neither sow your field nor prune your vineyard. What grows of its own accord of your harvest, you shall not reap, nor gather the grapes of your untended vine. For it is a year of rest for the land. And the Sabbath produce of the land shall be food for you. For you, your male and female servants, your hired man, and the stranger who dwells with you. For your livestock and the beasts that are in your land, all of its produce shall be for food. So even the yearly, the 7-year Sabbath, where you make the land rest, it was the same thing. The Most High said, you work the land for 6 years. On the 7th year, you let it rest. That takes a lot of trust to do that. You got to really trust Yahuwah to do that. Most High said, don't work the land on the 7th year. And if you keep reading, you'll realize that it's the same principle as the weekly Sabbath. He says he will give you a double portion. He will provide for you. He'll give you a double portion that 6th year to carry you over that 7th year. Matter of fact, Yahuwah said he will give you a double portion the 6th, 7th, and 8th year, I believe. He'll give you 3 years worth of food that 6th year. This will carry you over so you'll have enough time to rest the land that 7th year. Then you'll be able to reap that 8th year. Then you'll be able to sow that 8th year. Then by the time that 9th year comes, you'll be able to reap. Get what I'm saying? All right. Somebody, let's go Exodus chapter 20, Shemot chapter 20. Because the thing about the Sabbath is that it's not just about you not working. It's about you not letting anybody work for you as well. Let's take a look at that. Exodus chapter 20. And let's go to verse. This is the 10 Commandments. Verse 8. Give me verse 8. Exodus chapter 20, verse 8.
Everyone there?
Yeah.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahuwah your Elohim. In it you shall do no work. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates.
Nor who else? Your male servant, your female servant,
nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates.
All right, so I just wanted y'all to see that. So you notice that it says, read verse 10 again.
But the seventh day is the Shabbat of Yahuwah your Elohim. In it you shall do no work.
You shall do no work, but it's more than you, ain't it? Who else should do no work?
You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates.
So, when you think of your female servant or male servant, that dives into like employees, people working for you. See what I'm saying? There was a person who reached out and they just had a question. They own a business and they were just like, man, so what are your thoughts about because my business got to run. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so I keep the Shabbat, but my employees, they still work. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And because my business got to run. It got, Shabbat is like the busiest days. And I'm not gonna tell nobody what to do about their business or none of that, because I understand, how it goes when it comes to business and trying to get a business running and trying to keep it going. But I did tell them what the scriptures say, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I try to stand with. Yeah, like, hey, you're not supposed to have anybody working for you on the Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? I understand that the Shabbat is the busiest day for you, man. Trust Yahuwah. Close on Shabbat. It's a sign of the covenant. You know what I'm saying? Trust Yahuwah. It's better to trust Yahuwah and to lose some money than to go against the commandments, in my opinion. Thinking about the implications of going against the commandments is worth just to, in my opinion, to just close on Shabbat and be open the rest of the week. You know what I'm saying? And so that was the thought process I gave that individual. And it was received with all havah, though. It was received with all love. But it goes deeper than that, though. Not deeper, but it goes more than that, I should say. It's not deep. I think most of y'all actually already know this. But when you go into the store, you going shopping, you got people serving you, you going to the restaurant on Shabbat. That's why we refrain from doing all that on the Shabbat. That's why we refrain from that. Okay, I know some of y'all are like, well, that might be a little stretch. Female servant, males, just going to the restaurant. Well, let's go one more verse. Let's go to one more. Let's look at what the scriptures here. Let's go to the book of Nehemiah. These are our ancestors. These are our ancestors, and the way they looked at how to keep the Sabbath. Thousands of years later. I think it's like Nehemiah 12 or something, but let me see. I might be way off, I'm guessing. Oh, is it Nehemiah 10? Hold on. Read Nehemiah 10, verse 31, Yaakov.
Nehemiah chapter 10, verse 31. If the peoples of the land brought wares or any grain to sell on the Shabbat day, we would not buy it from them on the Shabbat or on a holy day. And we would forego.
Say that again.
If the people of the land brought wares or any grain to sell on the Shabbat day, we would not buy it from them on the Shabbat.
Y'all see that?
Or on a holy day.
Why do you think they didn't want to buy from nobody on the Shabbat, y'all? They interpreted Exodus 20 the same way I am. When it comes, not only are you not to work, but you're not to have nobody working for you. And in a sense, when you're buying from somebody, you're letting somebody work for you. You get what I'm saying? They looking at Exodus 20. They looking at this is during the time of Nehemiah. This is way after the Torah. This is after Babylonian captivity and everything. And they looked at the Torah and they did it the same way. Go ahead real quick,
Hey, I was going to say, so in that sense, you're saying not somebody working for you. You shouldn't buy food on the Sabbath, right?
Right, and don't buy food, none of that. Trust Yahuwah, wait till sundown. There was some times we had to, you know. There's some times we had to do that, man. Wait till sundown, man. I mean, shoot, man. I mean, many of y'all done fasted several days. Look here. It ain't that serious. Ain't nobody starving. Wait till sundown, man. Wait till sundown. Go ahead.
What if you guys asked me and my other aunts to go pull out chairs and stuff like that?
That's a good question, though. That's a good question, because it says neither you nor your sons. But, so it's different when we're talking about for the work of Yahuwah and for the assembly. You see what I'm saying? The priest still had to offer up the daily sacrifices on the Shabbat. The priest. Well, they didn't put up the tabernacle on the Shabbat. That's why I believe they put this here. They didn't want them doing none of that on the Shabbat. But once the tabernacle was up, the priest did the work. They did the work on Shabbat as far as the sacrifices, the offerings, as far as the intercession, etc., etc. You know, they worked on Shabbat. Actually, I think it was brought out in the New Testament, or I think Yahushua actually brought out that point before, that the Levites and the priests, they work on Shabbat. But as far as, you know, doing good deeds, as far as doing things on behalf of the Mishpachah for the assembly, you know, opening up chairs, helping somebody out. See, that's the thin line. That's what the Pharisees had an issue with. You know what I'm saying? Yahushua brought out, hey man, if your friend's donkey falls, you would on the Sabbath, you wouldn't help it up? You wouldn't help it get out that hole or something? And I'm paraphrasing. I don't think he said donkey. I can't remember what he said specifically. I'm going off memory. Did he say ox? Yeah, it was an ox. But he's like, wouldn't you go on the Sabbath and help him? It's just like, man, look here, if it's on the Sabbath and you see your friend done broke down, you wouldn't go help him? You wouldn't be like, oh man, it's the Sabbath, I ain't gonna work. That's a different story. See what I'm saying? So it's a balance. You got to really understand. You got to move in the ruach when it comes to how to keep the Sabbath. You know when it's out of actually doing the work of the Most High, or it's out of your own lust of the flesh. When that big sale is going on, that ain't doing the work of the Most High. When you just want to get that cheeseburger, you just want that cheeseburger over there at the place. That ain't the work of the Most High. Wait, that can wait. Wait till after sundown. Go ahead.
I just wanted to give a quick example.
So
We don't have mics.
Go ahead.
Okay, so just a quick example is as far as, you know, the whole employee thing. So I recently quit doing what I was doing, so now I chew a lot of gum, and yesterday I didn't get gum. And then this morning, my Ish, who is not in the truth yet, he was gonna go to the store. And, you know, that little thought was like, man, you need to grab me some gum. But then I was like, if I ask him to get it, I'm encouraging him to not keep the commandments. So when workers have their employees working, even though they keeping the commandments, that's not cool. You know, you want everybody to keep the Most High's commandments. So that was just my example.
That's good, sis. Man, me and Isha Ahmed had a pretty interesting dilemma we ran into. Our trash people only comes on Shabbat, y'all. So Isha Ahmed, I have her as a witness. We did this for about Jen Ahmed. We did this for how long? What, about a year? We did it for a while. We did it for like a year or so. Where we try to do our own trash, y'all. we was trying to do our own trash, y'all, because we ain't want nobody working for us. And so we would like literally get our own trash, and I would save it in the garage until it was time to put it out. And man, there were times, man, man, you go out there to put the trash out, man, there's maggots everywhere, all in the garage, man. I mean, maggots as far as the eyes can see all throughout the garage, man. And we kept doing it though. I found a little dumpster. I could put it in the back of the SUV and go and dump it and stuff. But finally, man, it was revealed like we was alright, man, on that one. It's just not really much around that. Because even us dumping the trash, that was really not even like, that was kind of going against rules in the neighborhood too. You weren't really supposed to be dumping stuff in that trash can, you know. And so it's one of those things to where you just, some things you got to be prayerful about and ask the Most High. But it's about doing the best you can and going from there. That sound good? That makes sense? All right. We're gonna skip a lot of this. We're gonna skip all that. Let's keep it moving. We're gonna skip all that. Yeah, we're gonna get to all that. So, the reason why Israel was exiled by Babylon had to do with keeping the Sabbaths. The reason why Israel was exiled by Babylon. Let's read this. I'm going to, okay, I'm going to skim through it. Verse 15. And Yahuwah Elohim of their fathers sent warnings to them by his messengers, rising up early and sending them because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they mocked the messengers of Elohim, despised his words, and scoffed at his prophets until the wrath of Yahuwah arose against his people, till there was no remedy. Therefore he brought against them the king of the Chaldeans, that's the Babylonians, who killed their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion on young man or virgin, on the aged or the weak. He gave them all into his hands, and all the articles of the house of Elohim, great and small, the treasures of the house of Yahuwah, and the treasures of the king and of his leaders, all these he took to Babylon. So he destroyed the temple. Verse 19. Then they burned the house of Elohim, broke down the wall of Jerusalem, burned all of his palaces with fire, and destroyed all his precious possessions. And those who escaped from the sword, he carried away to Babylon, where they became servants to him and his sons, until the rule of the kingdom of Persia. To fulfill the word of Yahuwah by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed what? Her Sabbaths. As long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbath to fulfill the 70 years. So the very amount of time that the Most High gave, the 70 year of captivity, was based off of the amount of the sabbatical Sabbaths that they did not keep. They did not keep the Sabbath for 490 years. That's how important the Sabbath is. We went into captivity over there. I'm not going to get into that. All right. So that's where the Sabbath is really first mentioned in the Bible. It's at creation. It was established in creation. This is a part of creation. Thus the heavens and the earth and all the hosts of them were finished. And on the seventh day, Yahuwah ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then Yahuwah or Elohim blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which Elohim had created and made. So we have the Sabbath, y'all, that was established since creation. This is not something that just came out during when the Torah came out. This is a part of creation. And so if this is a part of creation, wouldn't it make sense that we would see this in nature in some way? If this was a part of the creation week, couldn't we possibly see this in nature? You see what I'm saying? Genesis 2:2. That's the word in Hebrew. Just Shabbat. We use the Hebrew word for Shabbat anyway. And it means to cease, to rest, etc. So we're going to skip that as well, because y'all know that the Shabbat is a Moedim, which is an appointed time. Here's a verse that tells you that. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, the feasts of Yahuwah which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. These are my feasts. It starts right off with the Sabbath. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath, a solemn rest. Holy convocation. So a part of the Shabbat is that you are to rest, that you are not to have people working for you, but you are also supposed to have a holy gathering. a Kadosh Mikra, holy convocation, Kadosh Mikra in Hebrew. So that's why we gather every Shabbat. That's why we gather here right now. All right. Shout out to the Moreh team, yeah. So now, the Shabbat is determined based on the lights created during the creation week. This has cycled continually every 7 days until this day. So the million-dollar question is, how do we know that we are observing the right day? Being on this Roman calendar. How do we know that, right? It's important to ask this question because you're going to have people who's going to creep in with all kind of doctrines. Once you get in this wall, it's like, you know how Hasatan did Eve? Did he really say that? How do you know? Did he really say that? You're going to have people creep in on y'all while we in this awakening, y'all. Are you really keeping the Shabbat? How do you know this is the right day? Right? Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Remember I told y'all, I tell y'all a lot, one way to be able to research Israel and our nation is by seeing what our enemies said about us. Look at what our enemies said about us. Our enemies write a lot. The Romans wrote a lot. They had all kind of Roman historians and all kind of stuff. They were our enemies, but they wrote a lot about us in histories. So let's just take a look at some things they wrote. So first, I need to establish something. Right now, we are on a calendar called the Gregorian calendar. This calendar was instituted around 1582 AD. It's a Roman calendar, y'all. The Gregorian calendar is named after Pope Gregory, a pope. That's the calendar we on. Your calendar is very important, too. Why do you think they changed the calendar? Because every ounce of your being is ran by the calendar. It's internal and outside and external. It's a spiritual aspect to your calendar. Your life is ran based off of the calendar you go by. You see what I'm saying? All right. The calendar before that was the Julian calendar. This was a Roman calendar as well. The Julian calendar was in place since the days of Caesar in 46 BC. This was the calendar the Romans went by during the days of Yahusha. From 46 BC to 1582 AD. Okay? Keep those things in mind. The only difference between the Gregorian calendar and the Julian calendar was based off how to work through the leap years to keep the seasons in place. That's all. The days and everything didn't change. It was just about fixing the leap years. That were because they were they were noticing they were veering off season too far over amount of time, and so the the Gregorian calendar came in place to help with that with some of the leap years. But the days of the week was not affected by this. I need y'all to really understand this. The days of the week stayed the same. Okay? All right. So, and this is just some interesting stuff to look at. The Gregorian calendar was first introduced in 1582 in some European countries. However, many countries used the Julian calendar much longer. Turkey was the last country to officially switch to the new system in 1927. Turkey was going with the Julian calendar all the way to 1927. And you know that Turkey still holds the same days as far as what we hold today. I wanted to show that because it proves what I'm saying as far as the difference between the Julian and the Gregorian calendar. It didn't affect Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It didn't affect the 7-day weekly cycle. You see what I'm saying? Y'all following me, man? Hope so. All right. So now we're going to look at a historical witness. This is from the historian Cornelius Tacitus. As you see, he was born in 56 CE to 117 CE. All right. This is a 1st century historian. So this is around the time Yahusha died, around 30-something CE. And so you got all the, several of the apostles were still alive during this time. This is when he was born. 1st century. He is talking about, remember we reading about what our enemy said about us. This is him talking about Israelites. Remember, this is coming from somebody who don't like us. So keep that in mind when you're reading this. They are said to have devoted the seventh day to rest, because that day brought an end to their troubles. Later, finding idleness alluring, they gave up the 7th year as well to sloth. So right there, he's pointing out the other nations couldn't. The other nations can't understand it. It's the same with today. How many people of the other nations, or even of your family, who are pretty much walking in the customs of other nations, they just flabbergasted by you keeping the Shabbat. They think it's ridiculous. They think it's crazy. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, I agree with you, Yirmiyahu. All right. Others maintain that they do this in honor of who? Saturn. What day is Saturday named after? Wow. Just giving it away right now that the Shabbat that our ancestors kept 2,000 years ago was on Saturday. Go ahead, sis.
Back to the first stance that the read. Is it when it says they gave up the 7th year as well to sloth? Is it talking about the sabbatical jubilee?
They're talking not the jubilee, but they're talking about the sabbatical year, where every 7th year the whole land is to rest. So basically, you know what that means? You have a whole, because Israel was an agrarian society. So they basically rested that whole year. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. So the Romans couldn't understand that. They thought that was real crazy. But anyway, either because their religious principles are derived from the Ide, who are supposed to have been driven out with Saturn and become the ancestors of the Jewish people, or else because of the 7 constellations which govern their lives of men, the star of Saturn moves in the topmost orbit and exercises peculiar influence, and also because most of the heavenly bodies move around their courses in multiples of 7, so they're trying to just figure it out. Like, why do they, because to them, they don't know if it's Shabbat. They just know, they call it, so it's Saturday today, but back then they called it Saturn's Day. It's the same thing. All right, so this is another one. All right, this occurred in 36 BC. So this is actually before Yahusha was born, y'all. Cassius Dio occurred in 36 BCE, is the one that resulted in the very first King Herod coming to power. He's a Roman historian. So the Jews indeed had done much injury to the Romans, but they suffered far more themselves. The first of them to be captured were those who were fighting for the precinct of their Elohim, and then the rest on the day even then called the day of Saturn. I'm going to read it again. The first of them to be captured were those who were fighting for the precinct of their Elohim, and then the rest on the day even then called the day of Saturn. So this is somebody living in 155 AD, talking about some history that happened in 36 BC with Israel. He said even then it was called Saturn's Day. And so excessive were they in their devotion to religion that the first set of prisoners, those who had been captured, along with the temple, obtained leave from Sosius when the day of Saturn came round again, and together with the rest of the people. So basically, man, they knew that the Israelites rested on Shabbat, aka Saturn's Day, and so they would attack them then. Basically, is what I got out of it. They would attack them on Saturn's Day because they knew that the Israelites wasn't trying to do nothing on that day. We actually saw this in the Maccabees. You know what I'm saying? So it's just showing how we were when it came to those things.
A Sabbath for sapsuckers, snipes, sparrows, siskins, storks, and swifts is Sabbath for the birds. It's next on today's Creation Moment. And now our Creation Moments host, Ian Taylor. Miles Miles Willard is an avid birdwatcher and award-winning nature photographer and longtime friend of Creation Moments. Miles has given us hundreds of breathtaking nature photos, one of which accompanies the printed transcript of today's program at the Creation Moments website. The reason I'm telling you about him today is because of an unexpected discovery he made while looking out the window of his home in Michigan. Each fall, he meticulously tracks and logs the number of migrating warblers that stop by for a rest in the big cedar tree in his yard. After tracking the activity of over 1,500 warblers for 18 years, he was surprised to see a statistically significant dip in the number of birds stopping by that occurred on every 7th day. Did these migrating birds have a built-in instinct that somehow made them follow the biblical principle of a Sabbath rest? We're not saying, of course, that the warblers were knowingly obeying God's 4th commandment. However, if God worked for 6 days and then rested on the 7th, why would it be hard to believe that God gave these birds a cycle of 6 days of work, followed by a 7th day of rest? According to the account given in the book Inspired Evidence, Only One Designer, it would seem that Miles Willard, science teacher, nature photographer, and birdwatcher, has found and documented such a pattern.
To get a complete set of transcripts from Creation Moments.
So y'all get what he was saying?
About the book, Letting God Create Your Day.
So this is somebody who was doing some research. And, bird watchers, they noticed that there was some species of birds that did not work on the Sabbath. Literally, 6 days they worked, but on the Sabbath they didn't work. Basically, in a nutshell. All right, some of y'all seen this?
I know they're alive because I can hear them. I can hear them inside the lodge here. Listen to this. I guess these guys need a day off too. But why did they pick Saturday? Do they even know it's Saturday? Or maybe it's just a coincidence. The only way to find out is to keep on observing through the week. It's Sunday. Beavers are back. Out and busy. They've obviously come back out of the lodge. They look healthy. So I'll just keep watching and see what's on their schedule for this week. Another week of observation, and the beavers were out every day, busy as usual. Sunday through Friday, at about the same time every day. And then came Saturday. And just like the first week, all was quiet again. This continued on week after week, month after month, summer and winter, with the same results.
My dad has been watching these beavers for about 16 years. He's been getting to be kind of an expert on beaver behavior, at least with this family of beavers.
They seem like normal animals, except we've never once seen them out on Saturdays.
Notice something interesting about beavers. You see how close their front arms and shoulders are?
All right, y'all. So how many people have seen that before? How many people have not seen that before? All praise to the Most High. So do y'all notice that the day they rested, it was not on some random day, it was on Saturday. So I use creation as another witness. So we had the historical accounts, you know what I'm saying? That pretty much shows it right there. But then we can show even from nature, y'all. You have nature, and there's more than just that. There's a species of bees that's like, and I think like somewhere in South America somewhere, that they do not come out on Shabbat. They do not come out on they only come out every other day except Shabbat, y'all. It's crazy. It makes sense when you know that when you understand that Yahuwah established the Shabbat at creation. I submit if it wasn't for mankind messing up so much, that we'll see a whole lot more species of animals doing that. Because, like for example, the family of beavers he's referring to, they're in a place that's remote, that's pretty much untouched by mankind. Very remote area where you're not. See, it's mankind that came and intervened and messed up a lot of nature as far as that goes. But when you go to places like, I think it's like somewhere in the rainforest where the bees are at, you know, places that are not really touched by mankind, you'll see a lot of those aspects being brought forth. It's amazing, y'all. It's amazing. So the next time somebody try to come and creep up on y'all, are you really keeping the Sabbath? You know you're supposed to measure the Sabbath from the moon, right? So the Sabbath is Wednesday this week. Next week it's on Thursday. Next week it's on Sunday. Y'all, man. Y'all be in this walk long enough. You're going to have people going to come at y'all with that. I'm telling you. The Most High not the author of confusion. That's confusion. And you notice that people who be coming like that, they don't ever be in no assembly. They be them like lone wolves. They be by themselves. Yeah. Individual life. I had to use that. Yeah, look here. I watched 3 YouTube videos yesterday. Man, look at the Sabbath, dog. It ain't on Saturday. It ain't on Saturday, bro. They wrong, man. This was established since creation, the 7-day cycle. When we talking about the Gregorian calendar and all, the Gregorian calendar is a solar calendar. They didn't really come up with nothing new. They just took the sun and they developed their calendar based on what the Most High already established. You see what I'm saying? That's why they understand that the 7th day was Saturday. That's why our ancestors never said Saturn's day. Our ancestors in the 2,000 years ago when they were in Israel, they wasn't saying no Saturn's day. The Romans just knew that the day that they rested was the same day as Saturn's day to them. You get what I'm saying? The Israelites wasn't going by no Gregorian calendar. They wasn't going by no Julian calendar. They was going by the biblical calendar. The Romans' observation, though, they noticed that when they rested was on the same day as Saturn's day. That's all. You get what I'm saying? So when you're keeping the Sabbath, you're not going by no Gregorian calendar. That's the big argument. You're going to hear that argument a lot. That's why I just wanted to bring that out. You're not going by the Gregorian calendar. You're going by Yahuwah's calendar. It just happens to be, the Sabbath just happens to fall on Saturday, on the day that the Gregorian calendar calls Saturday. That makes sense, y'all? All right, we're going to cover one more thing and then we'll close with prayer, okay? Y'all did good, man. Y'all been staying in there with me. Oh, wait. Let me read this real quick, too. This is from the 7-day cycle in nature. Number in scripture is supernatural design and spiritual significance by E.W. Billinger, 1837 to 1913. 4th edition. Okay, that's the source. I just want to read this because I thought it was interesting. Again, it's from a writing. It's from a specific source. But it's very interesting. With animals, the period of gestation of the mouse is 21 days. That's 7 times 3. The hare and rat, 28 days. 7 times 4. The cat, 56 days. 7 times 8. The dog, 63 days. 7 times 9. The lion, 98 days, which is 7 times 14. The sheep, 147 days, 7 times 21. That's very interesting because we are considered sheep many times. The nation of Israel is considered sheep all throughout the scriptures. With birds, the gestation of the common hen is 21 days, 7 times 3. The duck, 42 days, 7 times 6. With the human species, it is 280 days, or 7 times 40. Moreover, man appears to be made on what we call the 7-day principle. In various diseases, the 7th, 14th, and 21st are critical days, and in others, 7 or 14 half days. Man's pulse beats on the 7-day principle. For Dr. Stratton points out that for 6 days out of the 7, it beats faster in the morning in Boker than in the evening, while on the 7th day, it beats slower. Very interesting. Thus, the number 7 is stamped upon physiology, and he is thus admonished as man to rest 1 day in 7. That's very interesting, y'all. Do y'all know a lot of people have diseases and are dying right now because they're not keeping the Sabbath? Do y'all know that? A lot of people, man, for real. I heard a testimony of a guy that I knew, and they not even in this awakening, man. They 7-day Adventists. That's the thing. Just keeping the commandments, man. These are laws. So whether you're in the truth or not, when you do these laws, you're gonna get, even if, I really believe, even if you're not like a believer, but if you're keeping the Sabbath, you will still see things come out of it for just, because the Most High's laws are established on the earth. Just like gravity. You know, if you jump, you're gonna fall. If you keep the Sabbath, even if you're not doing it, you know, even if you don't believe, you will see some benefits from it. I do believe that. And but the long story short, man, he was a 7-day Adventist. He's not in this truth, but 7-day Adventists, one thing they do, they're Christians, but one thing they do is they keep the Sabbath. They keep the Sabbath. They serious about the Sabbath. And man, his whole health was just, you know, he thought he was gonna die. You know, he was like a government official. He worked at the White House and they had to work all the time, them type of jobs like that. But man, he went on faith, started keeping the Sabbath, man, totally restored his health, man, when he thought he was gonna die. So very, very interesting. All right. And so we know this verse, Mark 2:27, and he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. Hallelujah. It's made for man. It's made for our enjoyment. There's a lot of ways people can look at it, but I think it just means what it says, that it was established for us. You know, even in the source I just read about how even your heart beat different on the Sabbath, you know what I'm saying? It's made for us. And so when you keep it, you're going to see benefits immediately. You'll see things immediately. I know, you know, everybody's different, but I know me and my family, me and my household, when we start keeping the Sabbath, oh man, blessings came like immediately. In all kind of ways, man. And so I wouldn't keep it for blessings. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't do that. You keep it to serve Yahuwah. But I'm just telling you a personal testimony of me and my family, just being honest. Like when we just was trying to keep it to be obedient, and oh man, all kind of blessings. Blessings at my job, all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I submit to y'all, man, the importance of doing it. I know there's going to be a lot of y'all, there's a lot of y'all in here who have to work on the Sabbath. I understand that. Again, I'm not here to tell anybody how to take care of their household and things like that. But at the same time, just know what the scriptures say. Pray on it. Do your best. Pray on it. Ask Yahuwah to give you to get you a position where you don't got to work on the Sabbath. Ask Yahuwah to get you a better. He might want you in a better position. Period. A better job. We just don't know. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, the Torah say we're not supposed to work on the Sabbath. If that's what it say, that's what we need to do. Sound good, y'all?